HealthWish is a series of conversations about the state of healthcare in New York City's fabulous fifth borough, Staten Island. Our goal is to raise issues, raise awareness, and raise health. Because when we raise health, we raise everyone. Planning with a team of over 7 experts across the Northwell system, Staten Island's own neurosurgeon, Dr. Jonathan Rasouli, is leading the change in back surgery, including fostering education in careers in the medical field. Give it a listen.
If I'm your patient and you decide that I need a surgery done, give me an average number of the number of physicians that you've discussed my case with in terms of getting their input from my primary care doctor, through pain management, through any other specialist that you may speak to, and through other spine surgeons or your colleagues in neurosurgery. Give me a ballpark. How many doctors have you probably run my case by before you ever pick up a scalpel?
Yeah, at Staten Island University Hospital, I use this as our example, we minimum discuss every patient's MRI with at least 5 to 6 different spine surgeons, plus their medical doctors, plus the cardiologists, plus their physical therapists, plus their pain management doctors. So after all is said and done, we probably had about 10 different physicians look and discuss this patient's surgery and whether that surgical plan makes the most sense. So one of the things we actually have launched an initiative is having a multidisciplinary spine conference where we have every single patient getting spine surgery in Staten Island University Hospital. Their MRIs, their CAT scans, their x-rays are reviewed by our entire team here on Staten Island, plus the Lenox Hill team, plus the Westchester team at Phelps Hospital. All the western side of the Northwell health system, every patient who gets surgery, all the neurosurgeons in that team will look over the MRIs, we'll discuss the plans at our conference, and we come up with a plan that makes the most sense. So not just one person coming up with it, it's a whole team of different surgeons. So the patients who come and see us can be very safe in knowing that they've not only gotten a first opinion, a second opinion, a third opinion, a fourth opinion, but at that point it's probably about 7 or 8 different opinions. And they're all coming to a consensus of what's the best option for that patient. That's very unique. There are not that many centers that offer this or do this routinely for their patients.
There's this feeling, with certain specialties that there's like an ambulance chasing nature to, oh, they just want to do my surgery. Right? Which couldn't really be further from the truth, actually. So if you tell someone that they're having a surgery, there's at least 5 or 6 other people that you've consulted with before you would ever make that recommendation to a patient that agree with you. Otherwise, frankly, you wouldn't make the recommendation.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And it's not even always what surgery we're going to do. It's whether this patient even needs surgery. So sometimes even with that conference, we decide a patient's not an appropriate candidate.
So it's possible that somebody can go through this process and after consensus, you could say, you know what? We think there's more conservative management. Let's hold off and see if we can fix this with this combination of things.
Absolutely.
As opposed to just, having a procedure done.
Absolutely. I would say, interestingly enough, most of my time is actually trying to get patients to maximize their physical therapy or pain management and try to persuade them not to get surgery. As interesting as that sounds, we really try to maximize and try to get as much physical therapy and pain management as there is and see if that works. And we try to dig in a little bit more. Are you getting the right physical therapy? Are they doing the right exercises? Are they trying the right medications? They can definitely maximize more of those options before we go for surgery. So, and patients are usually very happy to hear that.
I was happy to hear that you were just named the Castle Connolly Rising Star Physician.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a very unexpected and pleasant surprise to hear that as well too.
Yeah, not typically something that you will actually hear from people outside of major metropolitan areas, and it's usually something that you would typically associate with a Manhattan doc or Houston or one of these big medical cities. So it's really nice to see that your work's being recognized right here on Staten Island. It's wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I just wanted to touch upon, you're not a Staten Island kid. Right?
I'm not.
You didn't grow up that far away, but you didn't know this place really well until you actually came here. And yet you've taken a significant interest in the youth of Staten Island and in being involved in programs that specifically relate exposing youth on Staten Island to careers in healthcare. And thank you for that. I think it's an amazing thing.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
So we are in Monsignor Farrell High School. You know that this is, I think, the 3rd school we filmed from on Staten Island. And thank you to our partners at Monsignor Farrell for actually allowing us to do this. But the reason we are is because the Medi program here at Monsignor Farrell is one of our amazing school partnerships, and actually the first. And I'm going to talk about that later. You'll get to hear about that in a different episode. And you've played a huge part in this. So why is that meaningful to you?
So one of the things that I have noticed, especially when I was in high school and going through my studies, going through my training, is it's hard to find a good role model, a good mentor who can kind of inspire you to follow a very specific career path. When I was in high school, I had the opportunity to shadow under my uncle, who's a cardiologist, and he was very instrumental in getting me interested in medicine. And when I think back on it now that I've gone through my training, gone through residency, and I think back, and if it wasn't for him, and it wasn't for those early experiences I had when I was in high school, my life would have been so different if it wasn't for those early experiences. So with that in mind, I've always kind of had an interest in helping and inspiring and educating and working with high school, college, med students, and show them that, neurosurgery isn't scary. It's a cool field. It's especially spine surgery. What we were able to do recently at the Medi event was to show the students at Farrell how to put in spinal instrumentation on models, and they loved it. And if even one student gets interested enough to go to med school and ultimately become a neurosurgeon, I think that's a huge win.
It certainly is. I think what you're describing is the whole concept of if you can see it, you can be it.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's an incredibly powerful and important concept. People ask me all the time, why do you care so much about these school programs? What's in it for the hospital? And I say to them, it's like, we're playing the long game, right? Like, we're not interested in seeing if I can get one person to actually come and do a spine surgery here next year. The question is, can I make sure that the folks from this community are considering careers in healthcare so they can come back and actually take care of this community? That's why I think it's so incredibly important. And thank you for being such a big part of that.
That's my pleasure. It's an investment in our community. It's an investment in our hospital. It's a win-win situation.
Before I go, I just want to talk about firsts. I started something 3 years ago called Firsts on Staten Island, where I actually asked and encouraged our physicians to actually collect all the things that they had done for the first time in the borough of Staten Island. I want to thank you for actually being such a huge part of that, because you've specifically delivered so many of these firsts for Department of Surgery on Staten Island. So I do want to thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And thank you for the interest you've taken in our kids on Staten Island and how much you care about what happens to these young people. It does mean a lot to me personally. I know it means a lot to a lot of the parents of these children. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Yep. So, one of the ways that I know we're reaching out to the community, and I know that this is starting to work in terms of the community responding to it, are based around, who's getting procedures done. And I thought it would be fun to bring out somebody that feels like they owe you a big hug. And the unofficial mayor of Staten Island, Lou Tobacco, come on out, who's the other person and a very prominent Staten Islander, who you can tell from the way he's moving around has done pretty well with his back pain.
It's great to see you.
All right? It's a pleasure.
Thank you for everything. Thank you.
Love you, Staten Island.
HealthWish wishes to thank our special guests, Dr. Brahim Ardolic and Dr. Jonathan Rasouli. Recorded in the Learning Commons at Monsignor Farrell High School. We're very interested in your health wish. Contact us at healthwish@northwell.edu. Thanks for joining us. We hope to see you again soon.